Hey, Chandler Bolt here, and joining me today is Russell Brunson. Now, Russell
Hey.
Brunson is the founder and CEO of ClickFunnels and the author of 3 books. Maybe you've heard of them. We got .com Secrets, Expert Secrets, and his most recent book,
Yeah.
Traffic Secrets, which we've both got here. You can see, and you may remember him from episode 3 of the Self Publishing School podcast. Crazy, and also. This video or the interviews on our YouTube channel as well, so you can check that out. In that video or in that interview, we talk about how he sold over 25,000 copies of his book .com Secrets in the early stages. Since then, he's sold hundreds of thousands of copies of both Expert Secrets and .com Secrets. I've read them both. They're both really, really good. I'm still in progress on Traffic Secrets, which I'm really excited about. But today what we're going to do is we're going to be going kind of behind the scenes on Traffic Secrets and taking a look at the launch and specifically how he's using this book, which is book 3 in the trilogy series, to grow his business. So Russell, welcome. Great to have you here.
Thanks for having me, man. How many years ago was episode 3?
Probably 4 years ago. It was a very long time. And a lot of exciting things since then.
Yeah, I've been watching you over the last couple of years. It's been crazy watching your growth and everything. So it's exciting to be back. I appreciate you.
Yeah, right back at you. So I'd love to start, like, why books? I mean, you're one of the few people where I've seen, books are very much at the core of what you guys are doing at ClickFunnels, and you've obviously got these 3 books, but why books, and why is that such a core or fundamental strategy for you guys to grow ClickFunnels?
It's funny because books are like the hardest thing that I've ever done by far. Like all the other things are so much easier. But it's interesting because for me, like the books last longer, like the impact of them, it's weird as ClickFunnels started growing, our revenue grew, and it used to be for me at least, it used to be exciting. Like you do a big product launch, you make a bunch of money, but as ClickFunnels grew, like that got less exciting for me. And I remember like we launched different products or courses and it wasn't that big of an impact. Like you'd make some extra money, but the impact kind of died. And the books though, like the .com Secrets book, it's been almost 6 years now. It continues to sell over 1,000 copies a week. And then Expert Secrets. And so this new one, I don't know, for me, my personal mission and like what I want to do in life, like it extends my message further than anything else I've ever done. And so it's funny because after each book, I'm like, I'll never write a book again. And, but then I do. And then, it's funny. I had a conversation with Brendan Bouchard the other day, and he's like, I write a book every 2 years. He's like, just my cycle. And I was like, maybe I've done that the last 6. So maybe it's every 2 years. I don't know. But
it's like albums.
Yeah.
Like bands. Yeah.
You get addicted to it. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see another book after this, but it's definitely for now. It's the final book in this trilogy. If there's another book, who knows? It'll be something different maybe.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that you talked about impact, something we talked about a lot, leveraged impact. So did you always know that this was going to be a trilogy, or did that kind of develop as it went?
No, I wish I would have known. No, it was not the plan. I wrote .com Secrets. I have the whole, let me grab the box.
Yeah, grab it.
Sorry, I'm quarantined at home at my house, so everything's here. So when I wrote the .com Secrets book, the plan was to never write a book again. So this is like the first decade of my online experience. Like I'm gonna put everything in here so I'll never have to do it again. And it was a painful process. And then and we launched it and did really well. And then it was probably about a year later. And I was watching like the recurring thing. People were struggling, like figuring out, they were starting to build funnels really well, but they were struggling like selling inside the funnels. And I was like, the piece they're missing is like how to communicate and how to tell your story. But I wasn't planning on writing a book. I was trying to think of a different thing to do. And it was weird. I was sitting at a dinner with Dean Graziosi, and we're talking, and I don't know what we're talking about, but in the middle of that conversation, I had the inspiration in my head of like, you need to write a second book and it's gonna be called Expert Secrets. Like that's the thing. And I was like, I don't want to, but I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. So I wrote the second book. And then literally day 2 of the Expert Secrets book launch, John Reese, who owned trafficsecrets.com, the domain, and he, for those who've been around a long time, he was the first guy in our industry to do $1 million in a day on trafficsecrets.com. Like that was his course he sold. And he messaged me, he's like, hey, I'm selling off all my business assets. Do you want to buy Traffic Secrets from me? And this is on day 2 of the Expert Secrets book launch. I was like, it could be a trilogy. I'm like, it's the last thing. Like they have funnels, they got they had to speak inside the funnels, and then they need traffic. I was like, and so he sold me. I was emotionally invested, and I was a sucker. I spent probably way too much, but that's what that's kind of what I knew. So definitely wasn't up front, but as I've gone, like just kind of the next piece opened up. Like this is the next thing people need. They needed funnels, then they needed communication. Now they need traffic, and it's turned out to be, for me, it's fun because now it's like they're all together in a box set. So.
Oh yeah. And the branding's great. Everything's great. So what would you say now that you have the three? Obviously Traffic Secrets, we're about to talk about the launch, like all that stuff kind of behind the scenes there. But now that you have the three, what do you see is it like, you see them selling together? Is it like each book serves a purpose for, I mean, I would imagine for your core customers, but then business wise, are there different funnels that you use there? Or like, how does that integrate with the business as a whole?
Yeah. So each book has its own standalone funnel. Because like the reality is, at least my belief is, I think everybody needs all three. Right? And I always tell people, like, in order, .com Secrets first, then Expert, then Traffic. But a lot of people like the .com Secrets funnel thing's too confusing. They're not ready. Everyone's at different steps in their path. And so each one's got its own funnel. But then the upsell for all three of them is the box set, where you get the whole box set and you get this extra workbook and stuff like that. So that's all, they all lead to that. And I'm kind of noticing that right now, just during this Traffic Secrets launch, like traffic is such a more, it's a bigger topic that people can grasp simpler. Like I can go down the street, and I can talk to somebody down the street and like, do you have a website? They're like, yeah. I'm like, are you getting traffic? Like, no. Like, oh, you need this book. And like, oh, they get that really fast.
Oh,
for me to explain, like, you need a funnel. They're like, what are you talking about? Like, you should read this huge book. It's a harder conversation. Yeah. So I feel like this is for ClickFunnels as a brand. I think this is going to be like a Trojan horse that gets into more businesses because people understand it. But as you start reading it, you understand, like, for me to really scale a traffic campaign, you need a funnel, and it ties back into the other things. It helps you understand.
So it's almost like they're meant to be read in that order, but Traffic Secrets is going to be the one that goes out and captures a totally different customer, and then they realize that they need to go back and read the other ones.
100%, yeah, definitely.
Okay, that makes sense.
My guess is over time we'll sell 10 times more Traffic Secrets books than any of the other ones. So we'll see.
Why?
I just think it's I don't know. I think it's an easier conversation. I think. I'm excited when the launch is over. I want to test all sorts of things. I want to try like radio ads and TV ads and stuff. Cause I think it was hard to like do a radio ad or TV ad of like, hey, do you want to learn how to tell your story? Like Expert Secret's hard, but like a radio ad, like, hey, you need more visitors to your website, get a free book, go to, like that's an easier hook. And so we're going to try to market a lot of other places that I don't think were accessible before. And who knows, they may flop, but it's going to be fun to try.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, cool. And I want to get into like kind of what you're doing to market and launch Traffic Secrets in just a second. But kind of went on if we're looking big picture, last question on the three different books. So you're obviously a busy guy. You run a big company, and these three books over a handful of years. Like, how do you do that? Do you get a ghostwriter? Like, are you writing these yourself? Like, how do you manage? Cause I think this is like, so many people are just like you, which is like, hey, how the heck am I going to write a book? I've got this business to run. And you're obviously, I mean, you guys are in rapid growth mode and you're still churning out these books. How do you do it?
It's hard. I had a writer help me on the first two. With Traffic Secrets though, I was like, I wanted to do this one by myself. So I did 100% of it by myself. And I don't know if you know the whole story, but when I did Traffic Secrets, I actually had a different publisher. I went with Hay House, and they wanted to do a hardbound, and I was like, oh, that'd be amazing. And I was like, oh, but if my other two books are softbound, like I want all of them as hardbounds. So I actually went back to the publisher that did the first two books, and I bought the rights back from them, and I gave them to Hay House to redo. And I was like, hey, as long as we're making a hardback, do I have like a little wiggle room to like make some edits in the original two books? And he's like, Reed over there was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. You can make some small edits. And so I was like, okay. So
30,000 words later.
So the small edits. Yeah. Well, what's crazy. So here, for example, .com Secrets book is now the biggest in the trilogy. When I wrote this book, it was 58,000 words. I ended up deleting 30,000 during the rewrite. And then it ended up 94,000 words. So it literally was like a brand new book. And I did the same thing with Expert Secrets. I rewrote anyway, so they're all basically almost new books.
Wow.
And so that was last year. Like I spent all of last year writing this, and then the last 4 months here, I spent 2 months rewriting each one in the middle of ClickFunnels' fastest growth month. So it was intense. I'd go to the office and I'd work all day doing ClickFunnels thing and meeting everything, and then I was like, okay, time to go. And then I would like block everything out, and I have like 2 or 3 hours. And for me, I think a lot of entrepreneurs are this way. We've got ADD. And so it's like, if you're trying to do one thing, it's hard because you get distracted by like, oh, someone texted me and this. And so like, I found for me, the secret is like, I have to overload all my senses. So the only thing I can do is write. So I literally in my office at the office, not in my house, I've got a standing treadmill desk. So I raise the desk up, I put treadmill desk, I put music on in my ears, and I'm walking. So like all I can do is I can type, because if I like look over something, I'm gonna fall off and like die. And so I'm stimulating everything so that my brain can focus. Because if you have ADD, like the more things are happening, the more you can focus on one.
Right.
So I try to like stimulate everything so I can't get distracted. And so I'd go and I'd sit on the walking treadmill for like 2 to 3 hours a day, just like trying to focus 100%. And it's amazing what you can actually get done in 2-3 hours a day of like 100% focused. I don't think most people ever do that. When I do that, I can get more done in a 2 hour window than I normally get done an entire day. But it requires me like doing the craziness of it all. So that's kind of been my secret to get a lot done, is doing that. And then I've got an amazing team of people. Like when I was writing all in Google Docs, and then what was cool is like as I was writing it, I had an editor following behind me cleaning things up, and I had 4 or 5 friends who were reading it just to make sure the concepts made sense. So they were writing and leaving comments and feedback as they were going through. So I got to the end of the book, I jumped back to the top, and I had all their feedback. So I was like, oh yeah. And so I edited that way and came back through, and then the editor came back through. And anyways, that's kind of how the process worked for me.
That's great. So why not use a ghostwriter for the most recent book? And what was the thought process behind buying your rights back to the other 2 books?
I'm just super picky. Even with I had a really, really good ghostwriter to help me on the first 2 books, but you can ask her, like, I was pretty, like it was a lot of like me, brain dumping. She would write, she'd give it back to me, and I would take that, and I literally like just had it open and I rewrite it anyway, just because I'm so picky, and like, I want everything to sound like me. And so, while having a writer did speed up the process for the first 2 books, it was still a lot of work for me. So I don't know. I'm just super picky. I'm not against it. And I feel like I'm getting better at writing too. And I just wanted like to really flesh out the stories. And, anyway, so that was probably a big part of it. Plus, I knew I had a smaller window. Like when I went with Hay House, it's funny because, they were like first real publisher I went to, so they do a contract, and I didn't even read. I'm not a contract guy. So I decided to send it over, and then they sent me a check in the mail. And I was like, what's this for? Like, that's your advance. I'm like, what? I didn't know I get an advance. This is so cool. And like, for like a day, I was like, this is the cool, like I got an advance. I thought it was so cool. And then they sent over, after I like cashed the advance check, there was like all my due dates. I was like, wait, what? And like, these are the dates you have to hit if we're going to launch it by whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh, like also it started stressing me out. I was like, now it's like I have a job. I don't know what to do. Like I got deadline. It just changed it for me. And I was like, I don't think I can, like, if I'm going to do this, I have to do it, or I'm not going to hit the deadlines if I'm kind of go back and forth with somebody and try, like it needed to be done that way. So that's kind of why. And then the reason, like literally the reason why we decided to buy the books back here, I'm going to show you, this is the reason for those watching this live, because you can ask my team the last 2 years, I was like, all I want in life is a box set, like a Harry Potter trilogy box set. And so this was why I wanted to be able to have all of them hardbound, same thing, same branding, same everything, so that it looked awesome. And so that's literally why, because I just want them. I want to take up as much real estate on somebody's bookshelf as humanly possible. So that's
nice. Cool. Hey, let's talk Traffic Secrets book launch. So what's kind of the 10,000-foot view of your launch plan for the book? And I think I saw some big goals. I can't remember if it was 200,000 copies or if it was something crazy, which I'm sure some of that has changed in the midst of all the craziness. Maybe so, maybe not, with everything that's going on. But what's kind of the 10,000-foot view of your launch plan?
Yeah, so definitely things got shifted up. Those who are, watching this or listening to this later, like we literally launched on like the day 1 of everyone going in quarantine, which was like, in hindsight, this may not have been the best time to launch. And so a lot of people, obviously for good reasons, were emailing the list about other things and freaking out and just chaos. And so some of these got mixed up, but overall it's doing really good. So the first thing is like I feel like my job, and this is also because I'm just obsessed with this piece of the business, but like I wanted the best funnel ever. So the whole time I was writing the book, I was brainstorming ideas and how to do the funnel in the right way and how to do the messaging and everything. And so the first step was us getting a really good funnel that converts for us, but also converts for affiliates, people paying paid traffic. And so that was the first phase. And the funnel right now is insane. It's the highest converting funnel I've ever made, like a book funnel. We're 20,000 plus books sold, and we're still over like $63 average cart value, which for the funnel nerds, this is like, it's like I spend $63 on Facebook ads to break even on a book. But it's converting high. So like we're only spending, $3 or $4 to sell a book. So it's super profitable right now. So that was step number one. Step two is to get affiliates to promote. And so that's what's been, happening. We've got a lot of affiliates promoting. We've got affiliate contests. The first 2 weeks of the affiliate contest have been, we basically have a 40% on everything in the funnel that someone buys. And then next week, this is kind of a secret, but I've done it for those who've been around me for a while, I've seen it. We did it with the other 2 book launches, but the last week of the book launch, we'll shift from a 40% affiliate commission to a $20 CPA. So we'll pay $20 for every free book somebody gives away. And so that'll be happening for a week. And last time we sold another like 30,000 copies of the book doing it that way, which was really good. And then do you want to hear what the plan was before everyone got locked away from Boise? And
plan was and plan is.
Oh, so that was like phase number 1 of the launch. And phase number 2 is we were doing a live event here in Boise, Traffic Seekers Live, and we invited 40 different traffic speakers to come. And it was like the lineup was insane. We're still going to try to do this. Just it's not going to be timing wise perfectly orchestrated like it was before. But basically, it was going to be, because when you read the Traffic Seekers book, it's very strategic, like understanding the strategy of traffic. But then it doesn't get deep into the tactics, because the tactics are always changing. And I didn't want the book to be something that's, doesn't work in a month from now. And so everyone who's speaking was going to talk about a very specific tactic. Like, here's how we're doing LinkedIn today. Here's how we're doing Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. Here's one Facebook strategy, another Facebook, like just all a bunch of very tactical things. Each is going to be about 25 to 30 minutes long. And we got a really cool location here in Boise. We're going to film it from and stream it. And basically what was going to happen is I was going to be, I'm going to MC each thing. And each one of these presentations will become like a mini ad. Where I would say, hey, this is Russell. Up next, we're gonna be talking about so-and-so. But first, don't forget a copy of your book. And then person would come up, they do their presentation on a very specific traffic principle. I'd come back out and I would do another call to action at the end. And then that presentation would end. And we'd be streaming that live to my fan page, but then also to the fan page of the speaker. And then we'd be going in and buying ads to that, from that speaker's account, pushing it out to their audience and other people. And the goal was in 3 days to have 40 amazing long form content ads out there teaching every tactic of traffic that you can dream of, all bringing people back into the book funnel. So that was kind of phase number 2. And then phase number 3, we're doing a huge social campaign where I'm trying to get on 1 billion podcasts and YouTube channel. And thank you, by the way, for helping in this part of it, but just really making noise at a different level than, I feel like this first phase has been a lot more so like a lot of people emailing, like email traffic. Mm-hmm. And then the third phase will be a lot more focusing on the social side. And then that's when our publisher date goes live, is during the social phase. And so ideally, hopefully, the people who figure out who the best-selling authors are will see how many books have been sold, and also see the big social buzz happening. And hopefully it'll help us on that side as well. So that's kind of what we've been doing over here. And it's been going good so far, and we're having fun with it. It's funny because, the first section of the book's all about like the Dream 100, your Dream 100s and contacting and working your way in. And it's fun because I wrote that part of the book, but now like I'm living it. Like I spent today 5 hours on my cell phone, texting and Facebook messaging and calling all my Dream 100, getting to know it and like talking to them, like, it's fun to like practice what you preach, and it's kind of, going back
for sure
and doing it once again. So it's fun.
So that was my next question, which is how are you using the things that you teach in the book to drive traffic for the book? And so obviously that's one way. What are some other ways?
Yeah. That's the biggest, there's a lot of long-term strategies, right? Like the book goes through like short-term and long-term, but the short-term is about getting people who have already congregated your dream customers. And like, how do we get them to help to tell their audiences? And so that's been my phase right now is, in fact, when you guys get your copy of the book, let me see if I can find it real quick. But one thing about the box, it's hard to get the books out sometimes. All right. But one of the things I teach, we talk about a lot in secret number 2. You can never find it right when you need it. Okay. All right. And if you watch the video, you can see this. If you listen to audio, you won't be able to, but there's the concept of the Dream 100, right? So the Dream 100 is basically you go to each platform. So Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, podcasting, like all the different platforms, and you figure out who already has your dream customers for your business. And then you write them down. So Facebook, for example, so we made a Google Doc or a Google spreadsheet that said Facebook, and went through Facebook and like, who are all the people that already congregate our dream customers, and we found their names and their Facebook page, and just made as many as we could, like 30 or 40 of them. Then we went to Instagram, same thing. Who are the Instagram influencers? Already have our people. We made a list of those. And then podcasting and YouTube and email and bloggers and all those things. And then basically it was literally me on my phone, like messaging him, sending pictures, actually sending him audio messages, and doing that part of it. Cause that's the most important. It's the relationships you have with people. So it was me, talking to them and asking if they'd be willing to help. And so that was the first big phase of it, which has been the big focal point right now. Again, the second phase of this launch, in the book we talk about there's two ways to get traffic. Like you work your way in, which is what I'm doing right now, right? You're working your way in, you're being interviewed, you're telling stories, you're hitting the different circuits, just like you would, like if you look at Hollywood, a new movie comes out, what do? Before the new movie comes out, you've got whoever the stars of the movie are, right? Like Ben Affleck or Jennifer Lopez, whoever, like before the movie goes live, they're out working their way, and they're on Today's Show and the Tonight Show and the Morning Show and Good Morning America, and they're doing the media circuit, right? We do the same things with our products. Like there's circuits, and people don't understand that. Like there's podcast circuits in your market, there's Facebook circuit, so it's like you're working your way in. And the second side of that is now you start buying your way in. So now how do you buy ads to the audiences of all the people that have already congregated those people to you? And so obviously we're ramping up our ad spend right now on that side of it. On all the different platforms. And, right now, obviously the ones we're focusing on are the big four, which are Facebook, Instagram, Google, and YouTube. Those are the kind of the big four platforms. And so we're focused a lot there. But then when the launch is over, really our focus is shifting to all the other platforms. Like, for example, podcasting. Jenna Kuchar right now has got one of the biggest podcasts for entrepreneurs in the world. It's amazing. So just today I emailed the people that sell ads on the podcast, like how much does it cost for ads? And they sent back the rate card, and so now we're negotiating, and hopefully, there'll be 6 months where every single ad on Jenna's podcast is her talking about the new Traffic Secrets book. And then I mentioned earlier, like I want to test radio. So we're going to be doing some radio campaigns and seeing if we can get radio to work. And then I talked to Dean Graciosi potentially about doing an infomercial, like a little, he wrote the forward for the book. And I was like, we should do an infomercial. And he started audio messaging me, text messaging me, like through audio, him like pitching the book, like going into character, like he was pitching. I was like, oh, dude, we have to do this. And so, it's just fun. It's the fun thing about traffic is it's just testing. It's like there's a million ways to get traffic. I think most people know one. They know like, oh, I'm going to buy Facebook ads. But there's so many ways. And it's just my goal with this book for everybody is to just kind of start stimulating the thought process of like, okay, where are my dream customers congregated? Like they're listening to podcasts, they're watching TV, they're on Pinterest over here, they're on TikTok, they're, wherever they're at, and figuring out how to find those people, identify them, and get in front of them. So it's not just, I think right now, I would say the majority of people's businesses rely 100% on Facebook ads. Whenever I ask that in a crowd, like, how many of us get 100% of your traffic from Facebook? It's like 98% of the audience raise their hands. I'm like, what happens if Zuckerberg doesn't like you? Because it happened to me with paid Google ads, then SEO, and then SEO again and again and again. Like the cycles are going to repeat itself. And if you're all your business on one thing, it's very, very scary. And so this book's goal is to really stimulate the thought for you guys as entrepreneurs and business owners. Like, how do I need to do things differently to be able to be successful, even when, times are scary or the economy dries up or different platforms shut you down. Like, how do you deal with that? And so it should help you guys to really build a much more solid foundation. That's
awesome. Now, what have you, using obviously a lot of fundamentals that you're teaching in Traffic Secrets, what's worked well? You already kind of mentioned what's working well for Traffic Secrets, and obviously it's early. What would you say are like the top 2 to 3 things that sold books for .com secrets and expert secrets?
One of the biggest things that we found, in fact, it's I talk about the strategy in the 3rd section of the book. Back in the back, there's a section called growth hacking. And it's actually interesting. My very first mentor when I got started online was a guy named Mark Joyner. He owns a company called Simpleology, and he's written a whole bunch of books. When I got online, he was like the internet marketing guy who everyone learned from. And I remember studying his stuff, and he wrote a book called Integration Marketing. I have a chapter here called Integration Marketing. And he talked about how one of the most powerful things you can do is you can go find people that already have they're already getting leads, right? Like a consistent lead flow into a company. So like, for example, in ClickFunnels right now, we get anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 new people per day that come to ClickFunnels.com and create an account, right? And not all of them stick, a lot of them drop off, but there's that many people every single day that are consistently flowing through. And so what Mark talked about in the book Integration Marketing is you find people like that who have streams of customers coming in, right? And most of us think like, oh, I'm going to go get I'm going to go get so-and-so to send an email to his list. And you can do that, right? And you get, but the problem is you get like one promotion that kind of dies. And what Mark said is that instead of doing that, go and say, hey, you're getting, 100 leads a day or 500 leads a day coming in that are joining, going to your landing page and opting in, or they're registering for your webinar or whatever. And he says, what if we came in and said, how about this, on day 5 in your email sequence, put in this email that sells my free book. And that way, every time your business, as your business is growing, my business grows as well. Because every single time, day 5 in the email sequence, they're getting an ad for my book or whatever. And he said, you said that deal once, it'll pay for itself for forever. And so that's something we really started doing, is just thinking like, instead of me always asking people to promote and you get like a little bump in sales, how do we integrate into other people's businesses, into their sign-up flows, into the processes they're doing? How do we say, like, when every webinar someone does on email 10 or 6 or whatever, they're pushing .com secrets book or the expert secret or whatever makes the most sense for their audience. And so for us, that's been a strategy we've been doing consistently, man, for 5 or 6 years. And right now, on average, we still, the .com secrets book went live almost 6 years ago. And it's still, to this day, we still sell over 1,000 copies a week consistently, just like clockwork. And a lot of those are from things we plugged into other people's sequences, like over the last few years, I forgot about. I don't even know, I couldn't even find most of them if I tried. My guess is a lot of those people, the promotional partners that get paid every single month, they don't even know. Like, I remember I set up an email somewhere, I don't even know where it's at, but yeah, I get paid from Russell every month. So I'm not going to worry about finding it and deleting it. Like, it's there. Right. And so I think that's a big part. Finding people's thank you pages. Like, a lot of times people have a product they're selling, there's thank you page. Like, what, like, it's like, thanks for buying your product. That's it. It's like, like, how about you put an ad for, like, thanks for buying a product. You should get Russell's free book as long as you're here. And then all of a sudden, like, now every customer they get now gets pushed into your funnel. It's just like those integration opportunities. They're kind of like, they're not as sexy as like, oh, someone promoted my thing, or, my ad campaign's killing it. But man, those things just consistently, it's like a flywheel. It just consistently keeps driving leads and customers into your business. And you set up the work once and it pays itself for the rest of your life.
Man, thank you pages are just forgotten real estate. I am blown away at how often people's thank you pages just have, and you're just like, oh my gosh, you have someone's attention right here. You can get them to do anything. You do a really great job of thank you pages, affiliate thank you pages, buying the book thank you pages. Like, I feel like your thank you pages are legendary because they lead into a web.
To you to the next.
It's like,
thank you. Which funnel would you like to
affiliate? Sign up for the webinar. Get some swag. Here's your ClickFunnels stickers. It's like there's a whole tree, and then those thank you pages circle back. So it's like it's like the blog post that you find, and then you open up 7 more tabs while you're reading it. Yeah, they're awesome. Hey, let's go lightning round. Last few questions here. How you talked about, I think it's $67 average revenue per book buyer. How are you doing that? Because I think I remember last time we chatted on the interview, it was, if I'm remembering correctly, and this has been a really long time ago, it was either 43 or 47 bucks a book for .com secrets way back. So like, what have you learned since then, and what are you guys doing that's working so well with that funnel?
Yeah, a couple of things. So I could geek out about this forever. If you go to watch the funnel, you'll see it. But a couple of things. Number one, majority of traffic nowadays is mobile. So if you look at how we design the page, it's no longer 2 columns, it's all singular column. So it's designed for mobile first, which has seen a big uptake. Number 2, we have 2 order form bumps instead of 1. And it is insane. Like, just the extra little checkbox there, how much increased revenue by having. There's a $37 for the audiobook and some reports, and there's $97 for this 2-day video course. And it's crazy. Like, that was just a huge bump in revenue. Then on the first upsell, which is the box set, we also put in an order form bump on the upsell, which we've never done that before. And we've got actually two order form bumps. One is for the audiobooks of all the books, and then one is for the challenge. And it's crazy how many people are taking the audiobooks and the challenge. And then on the last page, it's we set up a deal with Funnelytics, a really cool promotional partner, and we have an order form bump there as well. And so it's just back in the day when I first got started, people would make these upsell sequences like 50 pages. They used to call it upsell hell, and you get caught in these things, and it's just like horrible. And I always hate that, so I always try to keep my upsells, like, I never have more than 2 typically on any funnel, because it feels like it's too much after that. But with the order form bumps, you're able to add in other offers that don't require another page that you're taking something to. It's just like really quick checkout things. And man, increased revenue by having those little tiny things in there has been huge.
Awesome. Hey, and for people listening or watching, I go through and go and buy the book, even if it's just to see the funnel.
I tell people, I'm like, buy slowly. Like, if you knew how much effort went into making this funnel, you would read every word like it was the book itself.
Yes.
and take pictures of it and screenshots. Cause like nothing is a guess, just so you guys know, like this is a decade and a half, 15 years of me geeking out, like all the best stuff, everything I know, all into one super funnel.
And I loved it. I've went through, gosh, and basically screen record and I love deep diving on free plus shipping funnels. So your funnel, the one you did for Tony, Perry Marshall, Ryan Levesque, so many other people. And I would recommend that for other people too, because it's like at a minimum, you get the book and you're going to go and you're going to see the funnel and see this at work, and you're going to see how you can use this for your book. So, hey, I know we're bumping right up at time here. Couple last questions. What would be your parting piece of advice for the Russells from 6 years ago that haven't started their first book and they're thinking about writing a book, knowing what you know now, just, fresh off or in the middle of Traffic Secrets and kind of your past experience from the last two books?
Yeah, I would say a couple things. Number one is writing a book was way harder than I thought it was going to be, but it's been way more important than I thought it was. I wish I would have done it earlier. I spent 10 years talking about a book. I bought the domain .com secrets. I knew I was going to write a book someday. 10 years I spent. And it wasn't until I was at Carl's Jr. with one of my buddies. We were watching our kids play on the playground. He's like, you know the difference between you and like Tony Robbins and Brendan Burchard? I'm like, what? He's like, they seem more legitimate because they have a book. And I was like, huh. And that night I started writing .com secrets. And I tell you what, like people say that all the time. It's like cliche, but like the authority, I don't know what it is, something about having a book, there's definitely a different level that you get when you have one. And so I wish I would have done it earlier. It took me a decade before I finally did it. And now I've done 3 in the last 6 years, and I'm going to keep doing it because it's awesome. And then like, comes back to impact, like on your board back there, like the impact of a book lasts way longer than any course, anything I've ever done before. And my goal, my hope, my plan is when I'm dead, that these books will keep selling. I try to write in a way they're very evergreen. Like I still study the old time marketers. I study John Caples. I study Gary Halbert, like all these people that have passed on. I'm still looking at their stuff all the time. And I want my work to be that way as well, because I think all of our jobs in life is come down here, get experiences. And then we're supposed to go and take all of our experiences and what we learned and figure out a way to put them into a process so we can share with other people to make the world better than we leave the world better than we found it. So that book does all that stuff.
And this book is going to keep living on for a long time. And I'm super excited about that. And that's actually one of my favorite things that you said on our first interview that's stuck with me ever since is what you said earlier on this interview, which is write about the strategy, not the tactics, because the strategies are timeless and the strategies are what's going to be here long after you're off this earth. So, hey, we'll end with this. Russell, thanks for your time here and talking about the book. Why should people get a copy of the book, and where can they go get a copy of the book?
Awesome. So the why is because traffic customers, they're the lifeblood of every business, especially right now that we're entering into this very uncertain economic time. The life preserver that will protect and grow your company during these times are customers, the right customers. How do you find them? How do you track them? How do you serve them? And I've been through this whole recession cycle. I think I'm 18 years now in this business, which is crazy to me. But in that cycle, I've been through this. I've seen the ups and the downs, and we weathered the storm because we got really good at finding our dream customers, serving them at a high level. And so for anyone who's uncertain right now, this is the life preserver that will protect your company moving forward. And the place you can get it, if you go to trafficsecrets.com, you can go get a free copy there and check out the funnel, see the whole process, geek out with me on the funnel. And then hopefully you guys love and enjoy the book. So I appreciate you, man, letting me be on here and sharing this message with your people.
Absolutely. Thank you, Russell. And hey guys, trafficsecrets.com. Check it out. Grab the book. Two of my favorite books have been .com Secrets and Expert Secrets, and I'm part of the way through this one and I'm loving it. So I can't wait to finish this book, and I'm already like, oh my gosh, I wish it was out because I need to send this to my team and my whole marketing team. So I'm super excited about it. Grab a copy. And once again, thank you, Russell, for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you.